Hello everybody and welcome to Pravus Gaming. We're back with more Imperator Rome to take a look at version 1.3, the Livy update, which just released today, December 3rd, and promises new features and major changes to the game, as well as an in-depth content pack, specifically adding new flavor to Rome and Carthage, which I am very excited to show off today. A big thank you to Paradox Interactive for sponsoring today's video, and I also want to draw your attention to a free week-long promotion for Imperator on Steam. If you click on the link in the description down below, you can try out Imperator for yourself for free and see if you like the changes. Let's go ahead and start up a new single-player campaign so I can show you firsthand some of the new features that I'm talking about. Now, I know some people will be tempted to jump forward directly to the gameplay. They don't want to sit around and listen to me talk for a few minutes, and I understand that, and I will include a timestamp just in case that's what you want. However, if you have the patience, I would strongly recommend you stick around and listen to the list of changes, because some of these are pretty substantial and will have long-term impacts on the game balance. Now, as I said before, Rome and Carthage got some particular love in this update. They got some specially tailored content just for them, though everyone is going to benefit from the new mission tree system in some way, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Rome's always had a little bit of extra fun with scripted events, so we're going to be playing with Carthage today and show them a bit of attention. Carthage is in a pretty dominant position at the beginning of the game. We have a lot of little small city-states and large vassals in northern Africa and in Sicily. We have a good, strong foothold in the southern Mediterranean. We are poised to become an economic powerhouse, so I kind of like their starting position. We're going to make this into an Iron Man mode game today. I'm sponsored for 3 videos with Imperator, but if people are interested, I would like to turn this into a proper achievement run, going for Punic Ascendance and owning the entire Spanish region. If that's something you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments section down below. So let's get started. Here we go, the Sons of Tyre? Not sure what it is. An ancient and proud civilization, Carthage holds a firm grip on the southern coast of the Mediterranean. Numerous colonial dependencies lie enthralled to the maritime giant, dotted on the coast of Iberia and on islands throughout the western parts of the sea. The seafaring heritage of the Carthaginians remains unparalleled, extending territorial and economic dominance far and wide. However, the island of Sicily has remained a constant thorn in the side of the Carthaginian hegemony for many decades. Agathocles, the self-styled tyrant of Syracuse, still reigns in the eastern part of the island, having secured a tentative peace with Carthage and prolonging Greek presence there for the time being. Further north, the young and uncivilized Italic states wage bitter war on one another, though there are rumors that a once insignificant state is emerging to challenge the balance of powers in Italy. They call themselves Rome. This is a very good primer into a Carthage campaign. We will be fighting Syracuse in the early game, but Rome is undoubtedly going to be our major rival. And that is why, of course, we have the content pack named the Punic Wars, because we'll be fighting each other quite a bit. Alright, so let's talk about some of the new changes, starting with my first and perhaps my favorite, the mission tree system, shown right here in this tab. Now, I was expecting this to be a lot like the EU4 mission tree system based on what they were showing, but I actually think that this is implemented in a different and really cool way. So to start with, we have 3 different eras of missions. Each one of these opens up their own exclusive mission tree system that you have to complete before you can move on to the next one. But these give you some specific short-term goal that you need to accomplish before you can move on to the next one. It's actually a pretty good way to focus your game and know where to press your efforts. So to start with, we have the Pearl of Africa, which wants us to develop the region, embellishing our capital, increasing our food supply, and developing maritime trade. Pretty good. Then we have Aftermath of the Revolution. Now, I don't think Pearl of Africa is exclusive to Carthage per se, but Aftermath of the Revolution absolutely is unique to Carthage. After our disastrous war against Agathocles in Sicily, the traitorous Sefet Bulmakar tried to sell our lands to gain tyrannical power for himself. Many were led astray by his ideas and plans, and even though they were pardoned, there are still conflicts and disagreements lingering all over our nation. We have to address these conflicts before we can move on from the Aftermath of the Revolution. Now, having done a practice game with Carthage, I know this is actually a way to reform our government type. I think we start off as like a aristocratic republic or something, but we could become oligarchic or plutocratic by following this, or reinforce our aristocratic republic. So this is all about dealing with the internal politics. That's pretty cool. Then we have the end to Sicilian Warfare. Sicily has long been a battleground between different Greek factions, particularly the people of Syracuse and ourselves. It has been a drain on our resources and pushed us to the brink of destruction in the past, most recently under the warmonger Agathocles. It is time to put an end to these petty wars and finally annex the island once and for all. So we have to annex the entire island of Sicily to accomplish this mission system, and all the missions we gain and all their individual rewards will help us toward this goal. We're talking free claims and extra benefits toward cities and pop migration, etc. So this is pretty cool. We're going to start with this because I like some early game aggression. Always like some aggression. And once you choose which of the 3 eras you want, now you get to look at the specific mission tree and all of their objectives. So as you would expect, you need to accomplish some sort of goal before you can move on to the next state. Once you've completed all of them and can get to the end of an era, you finish the mission system and gain all of the benefits therein. To start with, we have something here called Eastern Nemesis. Now, this doesn't cost us anything except for time. It takes 365 days to complete, but once it is done, we gain a claim on all territories held by Syracuse in eastern Sicily, so all of this. However, by doing this before attacking Syracuse, Syracuse may beseech nearby powers, hint hint, Rome, for aid. It's one of the reasons I wanted to do this mission tree early before Rome becomes very powerful. I'm going to go ahead and click the button, and now we just have to wait for a year before this is done, and then we can move on to the next one, Punic Syracuse. If we then conquer all this territory, we finish with Punic Syracuse, and you can see we get some different bonuses for about 20 years. Migration attraction, pop conversion speed, and pop assimilation speed. Very, very useful. Other things include Akragas being subjugated right here. That means we need to attack this guy and subjugate them. Or, if they've already been subjugated, we have the option in defense of Akragas, and we try to liberate them. That's another series of missions if you can't subjugate. However, if we choose to take the territory for ourselves, you can see here on the left, these marble statues decay, which basically means you bypass these entirely. So you don't get the rewards of these, but they at least go away so you can continue and finish off your era, just so you don't get stuck. Then lastly, we have the Phoenician settlements. Ziz and Kapara need to be cities, which they already are, and then Lilibaya needs to be a city right here. That means we need money and political influence. Once it is done, all of those cities are going to get more migration attraction, pop conversion speed, and assimilation speed. Then you can move on to Punic Sicania, make sure that all of them have enough population, and you just get free population, which is awesome. I mean, we love free pops. So all of this is good. All of this is stuff that we are going to want to accomplish. Now, that's just our mission tree system. As you saw, there were only 3 at any given time. Once we finish this, a new one will generate. I believe Carthage has 10 unique mission trees in and of itself. Rome also gets 10. But you may look at that and say, so does that mean that Rome and Carthage are the only nations worth playing? No, because everyone else also gets missions. They're just not custom specifically for them, at least not until we get more content packs, and I expect we're going to see a lot more of these in the future. Instead, like that Pearl of Africa thing, everyone is going to get 3 mission trees, but they're going to be procedurally generated based on what is going on around you. The computer is going to try to guess where you need to conquer next, or what kind of area you need to develop, etc. And that basically means, even though we don't have specific in-depth flavor for, let's say, Phrygia or Macedon, they're going to get some dynamic mission systems that at least give you short-term goals, so it feels like you're still telling some sort of a story and moving them forward. It's a great way to add flavor without actually adding, like, specific flavor, if that makes sense. A great short-term idea, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of custom mission trees, either via mods or from more content packs in the future. I think this is a really cool addition into the game. Now let's talk a little bit about food and supply lines. So it's been the case since 1.2 that your troops can carry some food with them, but there wasn't really much value to that. Basically, the way that this works is each cohort can carry a certain amount of food with them, and depending on how heavy they are in terms of their supply usage, they will consume food whenever they are in an area where they would otherwise be taking attrition. As long as they have food, they are not going to be losing their manpower, right? However, once you run out of food, you could expect a whole lot of attrition issues. That meant you could do short-term sieges, but in the long term, that was going to drain a lot of your resources. Now, we have a new unit added into the game, shown right here, the supply train. It is terrible at combat, and you should never use it to fight, but what it does is carry 50 more food, right? So if we take a look at these 8 cohorts right here, which is 7 light infantry and 1 elephant division, we can carry 17.8. Add in 50 more food, and all of a sudden, this army can go over to an enemy and sit there and siege down a province or a fort for months or even a couple of years before they're even going to lose any manpower. The use of these supply trains means that slow-moving infantry armies are far more viable than they used to be, and it is way easier to preserve your manpower pool that it used to be in the game. I'm not sure how that's going to affect the long-term balance. If anything, I think this may make it too easy to maintain your manpower, and there should be some level of attrition even if you do have some food. But regardless, this is going to change things a lot. Now, is it still better than having your cavalry armies running around and killing everybody? I don't know. I mean, you were already used to playing that style of gameplay and losing manpower, and you did just fine. So maybe cavalry will still be the dominant way of playing the game. But I do know if you're using cavalry and your enemy is using slow-moving infantry with supplies, you may have an early advantage, but maybe they can just outlast you with their manpower pool simply because they're not losing men and you are. I don't know yet. I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to change the balance of the game, but that's a pretty cool change as well. The last big change that I want to cover are characters. Now, I will admit, in the previous version of the game, I didn't really focus that much on characters. I could pretty much ignore scorned families, and it didn't really impact me that much. Part of the problem was there were just too many families. You could have like 20 of them, and keeping track of all of them and making sure all of them had offices was just not really feasible. Now, there are only 4 great families ever in a nation, so the number of families that you care about have been reduced to be a bit more manageable. Everyone else is considered a minor character and is not going to be scorned. However, it is more important than before to make sure that these great families are happy and have enough offices to make sure that they feel like they are involved in the internal politics. I'm not entirely sure how bad it is going to be if they are scorned, but I'm pretty inclined to believe that if one of the 4 major powers becomes disloyal and wants to start a civil war, you could be in pretty big trouble. So you need to pay attention to the great families more than you used to, and I am finding in my practice game that I actually am learning these families and tracking this way more than I did to. Managing your characters is a lot more difficult than it used to be. On the topic of characters, there's one last change that I want to talk about, and that is statesmanship. This is a new feature. So, depending on how long a person has been in office and how much experience they have gained, they can become a better statesman. This is a modifier to all of your traits, right? So, your finesse, your charisma, and your zeal. I don't think it affects martial, actually, when in a general, but in a military government role, it does affect it. Statesmanship is a modifier, so if we have 50% statesmanship, for example, and we have a zeal-related office for this character, you're going to take that 7 and multiply it by 0.5 and lose half of your points. The result is, in your government offices, you can see here, a lot of these characters are not very good in their current jobs. It is a lot harder to have a competent government than it used to be. You need to keep the same characters sitting around for longer if possible, and that means you really want to invest in these individual characters so they get more statesmanship and get better at their respective role, rather than just swapping them around whenever it's convenient for whoever has a slightly better score. So you need to think long-term with the families, make sure that there are enough offices for everybody, and then really keep the same people in power for as long as possible to get the most benefit. Again, it's not quite CK2 levels of engagement for characters, but it definitely shifts the focus more toward them as far as managing the internal politics of your country. So this is a step in the right direction, and I like this from Paradox, but it's a lot harder to manage. All right, we've officially dealt with all the major features. There are some minor ones, such as some graphical changes for Northern African units and Carthaginian navies, new soundtracks. The map in Britain, the Baltics, Greece, and Sicily have been updated a little bit to be more detailed. I actually think there may be more nations here. I could be wrong, though. I think so. Either way, so lots of little changes, but those are the big ones, and they're pretty darn cool. This is an expansion level of content, in my opinion, but it's given out for free to the owners of the game. Pretty cool move from Paradox. Now, let's actually play, dang it! Okay, so we are Punic, part of the Levantine cultural group. We have a Carthaginian heritage giving me extra export value, navy maintenance cost reduction, but loyalty gain chance with my generals, which is a bit of a problem. We have over 1,000 pops to start, and 112 territories, not too bad. We are an aristocratic republic, which gives me extra loyalty and freeman happiness if we use the correct ideas. So we're going to go for morale of armies. And let's go for reinforcement speed and army morale recovery. And then lastly, let's go for the monthly general and admiral loyalty. Use up some of that political influence, get these extra benefits. The freeman happiness just translates into free manpower, though, which is not as valuable, so we may want to change away from being an aristocratic republic early if we can. I am going to go for national citizen output, so we have extra money from commerce as well as some extra research points. Seems valuable. For a trade route, we can get a surplus in a couple of different things. We start with a surplus in wood. Dyes are pretty good. But I also think that we want papyrus for the extra 20% of research points in our capital. So let's go ahead and trade with Egypt for those. That seems solid. Now, I know we have a mission to turn this into a city right here. For that, we need 20 pops. If we move a couple of pops, let's say one slave from here and one from here, that gets me to 20. However, I think, yeah, we need 200 gold and 50 political influence to turn this into a city. Okay, so we're going to save some gold to work on that, not spend all of it right away on inventions. We want to have just a couple. Let's see. I'm going to go for the fabricate claim speed, because I want to try to siege down Akagras a little bit early if we can, because I know that is one of my short-term missions. So let's start fabricating a claim right there and see if we can grab it before Syracuse does, if at all possible. We also want to train up some more cohorts. I wish that told you what the maintenance cost was going to be over here, by the way, because that would be pretty darn helpful, because I find maintenance cost matters a lot. Let's see, recruit to army. It does tell you right down here for some reason. So anyway, let's see. War elephants cost a lot to maintain, but they are pretty darn strong. Is that worth it to me? Or would it be better to have some hoplites, some heavy infantry? Of course, those do cost you some extra supplies, so they use their food up a lot faster. Let's see. Elephants, very good against light infantry, heavy infantry, chariots, and archers. Not good against cavalry. These guys also good against the same units, but less so. Sure as heck looks to me like one elephant is worth 2 hoplites, except for the flanking bonuses. We're going to go for 1 elephant, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slingers, and maybe a couple more skirmishers. I want to have some large armies so we can take the fight to Syracuse early on. I'm going to go ahead and pick up these troops as well and move them over to Syracuse. We have a little bit of time that we need to wait in order to get this claim, so we're not doing anything right away. But in a pretty short amount of time, we will have our claim. I think it takes about a year and a half, and then we'll go to war down here. So let's just go ahead and work on that. Now, one thing worth noticing is that as we are training up these new units, you can see that they do not start with all of their food. We are increasing our food capacity, but they need to gather up some spare food from the area as long as it has something to spare. So over time, every month, they are going to be increasing their food. So just training up new units and then sending them to the front line isn't necessarily a good idea unless you have a supply line ready to go with them. Let's see. We have a lot of stuff we need to be trading away. Can I go to the trade menu and try to automatically accept all of the trades? That's what I'd like to do. Yeah, let's go for that, if at all possible. You guys are already fully trained, so we have some more elephants and supply lines on the way. Where are those elephants, by the way? There they are. Oh, these guys take a long time to train. Okay. But you can see with the supply train now done, we have increased the food capacity up to 84.6, and we gather significantly faster. As long as you don't let your supply trains fight, you could be in a good position. Somebody wants friendship. Sure? Question mark? Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. That seems okay for now. One thing that could be very interesting from a strategy standpoint, what if you have a supply train, gather up its food, and then join it with an army and go to the siege, and in the back, you have another supply train by itself gathering food, and then moving forward and swapping out supply trains, going back and forth to keep resupplying a siege. I think that is something that is likely to happen. I do not want to trade. I guess I'll trade with the Kragas for now, but we're not going to keep that going for long when we attack them. That could be a very interesting strategy as far as keeping a siege going and not losing any manpower, like, ever. This is pretty cool, I think. All right, you guys need to go ahead and embark. Still no hotkey for that. I feel like there should be. Let's go ahead and move you guys over to Lilybias for now. Seems perfectly fine. Do we want to get one more invention? Kinda. Army morale, recovery, food modifier, omen power. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go ahead and work on the import value because I do want to get some extra cash. The more money I have, the faster I can build up my armies and my cities. So I think money is extremely important in the early game in Imperator, and you should be getting as much of it as you can, as quickly as you can. Now, it's been 1 year since we started the game, which means our mission here of the Eastern Nemesis is complete, hence we get this event right here, the Sicilian situation. For almost 200 years, we have pressed our claim on the island of Sicily, trying and failing to integrate its resourceful defenders into our empire. Our foothold on the western half of the island has cost us much blood and sweat, and while we more than once almost brought the island's powers to their knees, they always drove us back in the end. In recent memory, Agathocles, the tyrant of Syracuse, drew us into our 7th conflict over the island in a bid to force us into ceding our Sicilian holdings, even invading Africa and laying siege to Carthage herself. Ultimately, Agathocles was soundly defeated in 448 and accepted a status quo peace. Today, many in the Senate argue that if we are to be taken seriously by the Greeks, we must bring an end to our Sicilian rivals, whose very existence is a shameful reminder of our past blunders. We gain claims on all of Syracuse's land in eastern Sicily, and we get a new character right here, Menos, who appears to be a pretty decent general. Which is okay, sure, why not? Free characters, minor character, we don't have to worry too much about power base and so on. That's pretty nice. The treasury of Eshmiaunitianguisko got his hands on a lot of wealth. He started investing a great deal of silver and building a reputation recently. And he's a populist, I don't like that. Though it is unclear exactly where he found these riches, his efforts are surprisingly effective. With his increased popularity, he started vying for a more powerful position, shamelessly comparing himself to our Sefet, Maharbal Gabalid, our leader, I guess is the Sefet. He will quiet in time, hopefully. He loses popularity, which is good for us, but he also loses loyalty. The head of the Gismond family gains loyalty. No, popularity, but we also gain corruption, and we somehow gain money. No, he gains money. This is weird. Okay, I'm sorry. I messed this up. I lose loyalty. He gains... I lose popularity. He gains popularity, but loses loyalty, gains corruption, gains money. Or, time to share with the rest of us. We gain some tyranny and take some of his cash. I'm not going to worry about that. It's probably not worth gaining tyranny right now because I'm about to get some as I force a war through the Senate. An uphill battle. Our current Sefet represents the interests of the expansionist faction within the Senate and has proposed a number of key reforms to army mustering and military supply. Our co-Sefet has other ideas, though, so we can fight with each other trying to get really good reforms, but the result is we're going to make him disloyal. I am going to consider upsetting him, my basically vice president, and try to get the best possible reforms here. I will gain popularity, he's going to lose more loyalty, and the reforms are complete. Despite broad oppositions, we passed everything we needed and got our key votes. We gained popularity, more support for the military faction, the head of the Bonadid family and our co-consul is disloyal, they lose support for the mercantilist faction, and up to 3 characters with military leanings, we don't know which ones, are going to get 10 loyalty. Okay, we also get manpower recovery speed and some supply limits, but we lose stability. Well, that's a fun little event right there, isn't it? Absolutely, 100%. All right, we need to get these guys on a boat because we are almost ready to begin our war. Let's go ahead and move them over here. Now, it looks like this guy's already fighting Syracuse and a few other folks. So that's interesting. You are allied with Siculia. You are also part of a defensive league with 3 people, which means we're going to be fighting quite a few folks. That's going to hurt a little bit, but I think we might be able to handle it as long as we have enough troops. May want to try training up a few more right here. How about a couple extra skirmishers and slingers? Since I have enough cash coming in right now and plenty of manpower to afford that, let's just make sure these guys are the best possible troops I have. I want to have numbers advantage, dang it. Don't want to risk losing this early war. That'd be embarrassing. I've done that before, dang it. People remind me frequently that this is still a thing. I'll keep them all kind of centrally located. I don't know where my enemies are going to be at the beginning of the game and who we're going to have to fight where, but let's go for it. Trade livestock for pop promotion speed. Sure, absolutely. That seems good. All right, so we need a general. Who do we want? Nah, I'm not really a fan of putting populists in charge. They tend to be a problem. Siege ability sounds pretty good. Yeah, you're actually great. We'll go ahead and take you. And then you... Oh, let's see. I can put myself in charge. I'm not the worst. I'm very bad at getting slaves, but it does make me more popular. And we also get extra reinforcement speed and army morale recovery. We're cautious, though. Not great stats. That's the thing. Like, 9 martial combat ability is really good. But I can possibly gain a lot more popularity for my character if I siege things down and get some money. I'm going to put myself in charge. And this guy will be my backup army, and he can change tactics as necessary. We're going to go for skirmishing, I think, with you, and probably skirmishing with you as well, honestly. Let's see how well that works. All right, we have our claim, which means we need to get our troops in position. Go, go, go. We have elephants, dang it. You didn't expect elephants in Sicily, did you? All right, so we want to declare war on you. This is going to upset our republic, so we're going to have to force us through and gain some tyranny. But look how many subjects we have at the beginning. This is great. All right, we're going to take Syracuse from you, dang it, and continue with our mission tree. Go! Yes! Do it! Die! Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and go for the war goal. Let's keep these guys back and on hand. They're actually training up some supply trains of their own. I can see that down there. Interesting. Harvest failure. Do what we can. Lose money. Gain loyalty with a governor. He's a pretty okay governor. He just needs a lot more statesmanship. So we want to kind of focus on keeping him in power if possible. But we lose some food. Make it clear the governor is responsible. Relocation. Lose political influence. I don't like that. Ask for the blessings from the goddess of the harvest. I can afford to lose a bit of money, but that hurts. We're going to do that. All right, so these guys are all in position. He might come and attack me in a little bit. This is going to get sieged down by the fort, but oh well, what can you do? I'm just going to make sure that we win some of these initial fights. But notice here, by the way, we're sitting here. You can see we're in an area where we would be taking attrition, hence why this is now red, and you can see we are using up 2.25 food from our supplies every month, and that is based on the number of troops we have and the type of units we are using. However, we have enough sitting around, so even as we are sitting here with this fort, notice at the end of the month we are not going to take any attrition. In fact, we gained manpower because we're regenerating our manpower, not losing it. I'm telling you, this changes a lot. Again, I still think cavalry armies are very, very strong, but infantry armies are now very viable. Like, this is interesting to me. Oh, great, we got an infection. Wunderbar. Yeah, no, okay, great. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see at the start of the game. Anyway, yeah, this changes a lot. I think, ultimately, this is going to work with my personal playstyle very, very well. Let's go ahead and get these boats over here, because I do not like your navy being in position. In fact, we should probably use all of our navies and keep them together and make sure we help with this siege. My playstyle has always been to use infantry for the front line to hit enemies and also begin sieges, and then have cavalry follow up behind. I think I'll continue to do that. Keep cavalry in safe areas with plenty of food sitting around, and they become the strike force that jumps in to help secure wins, while the infantry using supply lines go and siege things down and don't take any major losses. Alright, we don't have an admiral right now, and that's okay, I think. But let's go ahead and get a blockade going on over here. That does get rid of the -1 penalty in the siege, so we should be able to win this a little faster than we did before. Syracuse, I think, is still fighting a lot of these folks here. We can check that if I go to the diplomatic map mode. The map mode's got changed around a little bit. Not honestly a huge fan of the change, but it's there. So yeah, they're fighting all of these guys as well. Okay. So, yeah, they're not fighting us, but they are fighting all of these folks. Got it. So they're going to help us kind of in the war right now, so we need to get as much out of this as we can, and taking our main war goal, it has to be our top priority. But if I can take everything else as well, like, we'll do it. Let's go ahead and start working on these capital settlements here in Sicilia, whatever you call it. Their troops are now moving around toward my territory. That's because they probably just got shattered by Syracuse, and that's fine. Let's just try to make some progress here. Interestingly enough, he's moving around and not fighting my vassal. Weird. Okay. It looks like he is now coming after me. I'm going to let him... Nope, he did not want to get into that fight. Ooh, here's a cool new feature that's in the game. Cities can burn! Yes! Burn, Akragas! Burn! Yeah, it's fun. We just like to burn things now. That's what we do. Shame of a governor. Oh, come on, guy. Dude, we were just nice to you. Demand a repayment to the territory. He loses money and loyalty. Demand his resignation. I kind of want to keep him around, though. He's a good governor. Or he will be. Although he is rash and cold, so pretty bad traits there. I'm going to make him lose his own money and some loyalty. Oh, well. Okay, so I can't begin working on any of these sieges, and that's fine. These guys do not have a supply line, so they're going to use up their food pretty quickly, but we have at least a few months before we're going to have to worry about it. Let's go ahead and grab that fish there. I'm going to move these guys around and maybe move you guys up here. I need to keep them kind of close, though. These guys might come after me. The vassals are kind of in position. I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to play it cautious right now because I want to win this early fight. But I want to take over this territory. Although, if he wants to come down here into Akragas, I'll gladly fight him. No, he doesn't want to do that? Okay. So here come my vassals. They're going to go do their thing. I'm going to have you go around to my territory, keep your food nice and high. We'll use the transports to move over and begin working on this fort as well. Plenty of troops sitting around. There were some pirates that apparently spawned right here. However, we immediately killed them, fortunately. There are some more pirates right here. Now, pirates are dangerous, and you really do need an admiral if you want to win some of this. So we're going to put somebody in charge. How about... ship damage taken reduced, but not a very good commander. Still. Let's go ahead and put you in charge and have you go deal with the pirates. That should be okay, right? I think. Where are you going? It's going right here. All right. Let's go try to intercept those guys and crush them before they become a major threat. Pirates are just annoying. I don't like them. I don't like dealing with them. All right, so we got our troops in position. Can't quite crush, but we can use the ships to just kind of hopscotch across out of the zone of control, which seems fine, so let's do it. Okay, we did manage to destroy those pirates. Where are they running to? Here. Let's intercept them before their morale is up, and that way we just instantly stack wipe them before we lose anything. Are you going to be fighting? No, we're okay so far. Good. Okay, let's begin the siege. Plenty of troops sitting in right here, so I feel no threat. And we have destroyed the ships. No, we haven't. Where'd they go? They are going back over here. All right, we'll just keep bouncing back and forth. Pirates are annoying. I don't really like them that much. They're very irritating to me. Let's begin working on this siege as well. We're going to get this stuff, and Syracuse gets nothing if I have anything to say about it. Dang it. What the heck happened to you now? Gosh, freaking go to the Atlantic Ocean, I guess. Oceanus Atlanticus, whatever it's called. All right, so we're making some solid progress in this initial war, and this is an opportunity for me to take a whole load of land in Sicily, which will put me in a good position to fight against Syracuse. But we need to end this video here because we are out of time. So these are a lot of really cool changes. I'm looking forward to showing you just how awesome it is to finish up some of these mission trees. By the end of it, it's going to let us just automatically annex the entire island of Sicily, which is pretty strong. So these are huge short-term benefits that add a lot of extra flavor. And the dynamism of all the other nations is going to make replayability a really cool thing, I think, in Imperator going forward. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If so, then I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.